O Lord, Master of my life, give me not a spirit of idleness, despondency, ambition, or vain talking. But rather a spirit of purity, humility, patience, and love bestow upon me, thy servant. Yea, O Lord and King, grant me to see my own faults, and not to judge my brother. For blessed art thou to the ages of ages. Amen. O God, cleanse me a sinner. 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 O Lord and Master of my life, give me not a spirit of idleness, despondency, ambition, or vain talking, but rather a spirit of purity, humility, patience, and love bestow upon me, thy servant. Yea, O Lord and King, grant me to see my own faults, and not to judge my brother. For blessed art thou to the ages of ages. Amen.
Glory to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
The pre-sanctified liturgy is so different than our usual liturgies. And of course much more ancient than the liturgies that we celebrate today. And sometimes people wonder a little bit about all of the ritual that's involved. And perhaps it's the wrong question to ask, what does the ritual mean? Because it's something beyond ritual. Every one of us lives by means of rituals. We sometimes don't think about it, but we have a ritual to our daily lives. We have a ritual to almost all the things that we do in our lives. And since we're not looking at ourselves, we often don't see it. And sometimes people find our daily rituals of life a little bit odd, and sometimes even make comments about the way people behave in a kind of a ritual fashion throughout their lives. You notice that the expressions on people's face, the way they respond to certain stimuluses, the way they respond to certain foods, the way they put their shoes on and lace them, and the way one proceeds when one goes someplace, the way one gets into the car, how we start it, how we begin to drive, and our reaction to different things in traffic. If one could film these things, one could see that there's a very definite and clear ritual that each person fulfills in all of these themes. And this is because without some sort of ritual behavior in life, there would be, in our own personal lives, complete chaos and some kind of confusion. We wouldn't actually be able to cope with life without it. And even our brain works in a series of hierarchy of rituals. It's the way one portion of our brain communicates with another. It follows a series of rituals. The brain does not communicate within itself by various kinds of random spasms or some kind of chaotic and confusion of sending neuroconnectors in any direction. There's a definite ritual to how the brain works. And that ritual spills over into our daily lives. And it's what gives shape, form, and order to life itself. And when we enter into the divine services, they strike us so differently because they take us into another dimension of life. A dimension of life that we do not experience every day. And that's the very purpose of the order of the ritual in the divine services. It's functioning in a way that the brain functions also, to try to communicate some kind of meaning to us and to try to draw us out of the shallowness and sometimes emptiness of daily lives and bring us into something deeper and more meaningful, and to give our lives shape and form that has a great deal more meaning and depth to it. One of the crises in the world around us, and it's not something new, we've seen the same thing develop in ancient times, it's when people's daily lives become shaped and formed on things that do not have any real depth and do not have any profound meaning. And we become swept along by various forces, sometimes that we're not even aware of. Our minds are manipulated and shaped, and you see it during an election year when people are intentionally trying to do it. But through advertising, through the way music is shaped, through the way a shopping mall is designed, it's all there to reach out to us in a ritual way and draw us in. The shape and design of shopping malls, it follows a ritual, it follows a plan that wants to communicate something to us. And that's mostly, you need this, buy it. Even if you don't know what it is or what it does, you need it, buy it. This is the kind of rituals that form in our life around us. And in a way, there's a liturgy of life. We all participate in it. None of us are really quite sure what the meaning of it is, but somehow we feel compelled to follow that ritual of life that is around us in our given society, in our given culture. And the divine services of the Church draw us out of that culture, out of that society, and into something with a great deal more foundation, a great deal more that is solid, and a great deal more that has depth to it. It's not about consuming anything. It's not about consuming the last drop of oil on the face of the earth, or either polluting or using up the last bit of fresh water on the face of the earth. It's not about building more and more paving on the surface of the earth, cutting down more trees to build more of something, or any of these things. It's about shaping something deep within our own hearts and our own souls and our own minds. And if we look at the things that it's intended to penetrate to us, the one thing that we'll find is that all of these divine services try to give us a little humility toward each other. Not just humility before God, but humility before our fellow human beings. A kind of deeper respect for humanity itself. And if you pay attention to what's unfolding in these divine services, you can see this through the rituals, trying to convey to our heart and instill in our mind, and even to shape the way parts of our mind function, to take away the edge of our arrogance and our foolishness, to try to get us to think about something deeper, to take more control of our own personal lives, to be in control more of our own emotions, so that we can take our decisions not based on the last thing that someone said to us, or the most exciting thing we heard in an advertisement just recently, or some false promise that a politician gave us, but that we think more deeply before we take decisions about anything. Because the liturgy itself, and this liturgy in particular, when we make the prostrations together, we're also making the prostrations to one another. And we're asking for certain spiritual gifts when we make those prostrations. And those spiritual gifts have a great deal to do with how we relate to one another, as well as how we relate to God. And draw us into thinking about something. How do I find a real depth and a real meaning to my life? How do I find something beyond purchasing, consuming, using, trying desperately sometimes to find a few moments of happiness, or, I can party, I can go to the pub with my friends, I can get drunk and think that I had a good time. All of these things that we do in life to try to cover up the emptiness of life. And yet the Divine Liturgy invites us in, and instead of trying to cover up the emptiness of life, it fills the emptiness of life with something that has substance, with something that's ancient, and with something that is yet not today, and with something that is eternal to the future. And if we will open our minds and our hearts to this, to gain and to gather all that is being conveyed to us in this divine service, to try to pay attention. Above all, to pay attention. You see, we have to pay attention to the divine services in order to receive what it has to offer, just as we have to pay attention to one another in order to learn enough about the other person and their feelings and their emotions to have respect and to have compassion and to have real fellowship with them. Paying attention is a great deal of what this Divine Liturgy is about. And paying attention to God, of course, but paying attention to ourselves, paying attention to what emptiness we might feel within ourselves, and sometimes, of course, some kinds of hopelessness, and to pay attention also to the hope that is within us, to pay attention to the gifts that are within us that we can use. But we can make no use of the gifts, the intelligence, even brilliance if someone has it, unless we have some self-control, unless we do our own thinking and are not simply manipulated by things and ideas and cultures and societies around us. Some people are brilliant, but they're not clever. Some people are clever but not brilliant, and they know how to manipulate a brilliant person because they're clever. So everyone needs to learn to think for themselves, to take stock of themselves, and to find out how to have real self-control. Because when we're out of control, we do destructive things. Instinctively, when we're in control, we aim toward what's good and what's proper. Even if we end up doing something negative, it's not because that's our inclination. That's something that we may choose to do freely. But in this divine service, all of those things we call ritual, they have such a profound meaning in Revelation. And even in the reading from Genesis today, it sounds on the surface a little shocking. Would God tell Abraham to take his only son up to the mountaintop and sacrifice him? Well, in order to understand exactly what that means, we have to know about the world that Abraham lived in. In other words, we have to pay attention. Every group and tribe around about where Abraham lived sacrificed children. And when they were in desperate straits, the worst times, they sacrificed the sons of the noblest and of the leaders. And very often, the children were taken and thrown while still alive into the coals and roasted to death as part of the sacrifice. We find that record of that in Carthage, the city of Carthage, very clearly, where it's preserved very well. But that was round about Abraham. So what exactly took place? God says, take your only son and sacrifice him. And Abraham goes, but then God stops him. Doesn't allow him to sacrifice his son. And what is he actually telling Abraham now? I do not accept human sacrifices. No matter what thoughts came to your mind, no matter what you understood, no matter what concepts shaped what you were doing, I will not have human sacrifices to me, but I will provide myself what is needed for you. And at that point, he releases Isaac. And there's not a lamb. You see, the sacrifice should have been a lamb, but it wasn't a lamb, it was a ram. So instead of taking a lamb, a ram, but like a mountain goat or something, is taken and sacrificed. It's not even the common or traditional sacrifice at all. It's something completely different. And he says God himself will provide. It's going to be completely different, Abraham. It's not what you see in this world around you. It's not what you see other people doing. It's not what you see in these cultures. It's not even what you think. It's not even the way you think or how you understand things. It's something completely, absolutely different. And this is exactly what we're being taught by this story in the book of Genesis. Whatever the culture around you is doing, it's not necessarily the way. It's not necessarily the truth. It's not necessarily the best way to live life and the concepts and ideas around it. Our world is full of human sacrifices. And sometimes we're part of the ones who are doing the sacrificing. Sometimes because we are in a society compelled by consuming, we cause the deaths of tens of thousands of children elsewhere in the world because our minds and our daily life rituals are set on consuming more and more and more. And millions of people have no water to drink. 5, 6, 7-year-old children will sometimes walk for many kilometers to bring home a bucket of dirty water, which may kill them anyway because of the diseases that it carries within it. And we consume and consume and consume. And we are participating in human sacrifices with our consuming, with our consumption. And we're doing it because we're not paying attention to other human beings, to the humanity and the world around us, but are rather being consumed ourselves by the rituals of our daily society, by the rituals of our culture, by the rituals of the shopping mall, by the rituals of the advertising industry, by the rituals of politicians who always tell us we have to improve our standard of living, even if it destroys millions of people in another part of the world. This divine liturgy tells us it's not like that. That's not what this life is about. That's not what we should be thinking. It's really contrary to what we've convinced ourselves of. Our entitlement, our rights, our standard of living. It doesn't matter that millions must die so that we can consume more and maintain a standard of living which is outrageously high. That's not what it's really all about. And this divine liturgy, the liturgy of pre-sanctified gifts, is perhaps more than the other liturgies. Tell us, stop, pay attention, think, take some self-control, and pay attention to other human beings. Pay attention to the world around you. Pay attention to the humanity that God created and loves. And pay attention to yourself. And see how your mind is being corrupted or degenerated. And see how little self-control you actually have over the way you think and the way you act. That's what this divine liturgy tonight, here, in this place, at this time, is proclaiming to all of us. Stop and think and see what it's really all about. And begin to pay attention.